Back in boarding school, she behaved like she owned everybody's destiny. One shout from her and juniors would panic immediately. One punishment from her could traumatize somebody for weeks. She was the kind of senior that could collect your provisions, punish you in front of the hostel, and still make you apologize for annoying her. But life is strange because 15 years later, the tables turned in a way nobody expected. If you ever attended the Nigerian boarding school, this story might bring back memories you didn't ask for. Some of them funny, some of them painful, and some you probably buried a long time ago. I am Toyo. Switch on the lamp because some memories don't stay buried. There was one thing students feared the most in Nigerian boarding school. Not the principal, not exams, not even punishments, but seniors, Jesus, especially the wicked ones. This story happened in a boarding school in Ogun State some years ago. The school was one of those old missionary schools with strict rules and old hostel buildings. Every morning by 5 a.m., the bell would ring and everybody would rush outside with buckets to have their bath before assembly. During rainy season, uniforms never really dried properly, and the whole hostel used to smell like wet clothes and detergents. But hidden inside all the normal school life was something many people don't talk about enough: bullying. The kind that follows some people long after school ends. That year, there was one SS2 girl everybody knew. Her name was Stephanie Adebayo. She was tall, beautiful, very intelligent, and carried herself with this dangerous confidence that made people fear her naturally. Teachers loved her because she was always neat and always among the best students in class. But inside the hostel, Stephanie was a different person entirely. Junior students feared her more than they feared the vice principal. The moment she shouted, "Junior," your heart would skip. And she had a clique of girls that followed her everywhere like bodyguards. Once they enter your corner of the hostel, you would just start praying they didn't notice you. That same year, a quiet J1 girl entered the school. Her name was Amara Adams. Small body, soft voice, innocent face. The kind of child parents usually describe as very well behaved. Her mother packed enough provisions for her first term. Milo, pig milk, cornflakes, cabin biscuits, noodles, even those small bottled groundnuts. But anybody that attended boarding school knows one thing: good provisions can attract wicked seniors faster than perfume. The first day Stephanie noticed Amara was doing evening prep, Amara was arranging her locker quietly when Stephanie walked past and suddenly stopped. She slowly opened the locker and saw the provisions inside. That was when she smiled. Not a normal smile. That senior smile that usually means trouble. "New girl?" she asked. "Yes, senior," Amara replied. "So your parents get money like this?" Amara just stood there awkwardly because she didn't even know what to say. Stephanie brought out one full pack of cabin biscuits, opened it casually, ate one, then chewed the rest to her friends. Before leaving, she looked Amara dead in the eye and said, "Anytime visiting dey rich and your parents bring provisions, you must report to me first. Understand?" "Yes, senior," Amara replied. That was how Amara's suffering started. And once wicked seniors notice you in boarding school, your peace can disappear completely. Sometimes, Stephanie would wake Amara up by 4 a.m. just to wash socks. Sometimes, she would send her to fetch water from one dark tap behind the dining hall. Anybody that attended boarding school knows taps like that. Always slippery, always lonely, always scary at night. One Sunday afternoon after church service, students were rushing to the dining hall because it was jollof rice day. Anybody that attended boarding school knows that Sunday jollof rice eats differently. As Amara finally collected her food and sat down quietly to eat, Stephanie suddenly appeared beside her table. Without saying anything, she collected the plates. Amara's heart dropped immediately. Then suddenly, Stephanie poured the remaining food inside a waste bucket nearby. The entire table went silent. Amara looked like she wanted to cry. Stephanie leaned closer and whispered, "You think boarding school is enjoyment, Abby?" Then she walked away laughing with her friends. That night, Amara slept hungry, but the painful part wasn't hunger, it was humiliation. One Saturday afternoon, During hostel sanitation, Stephanie noticed small dust under Amara's bunk. Tiny dust that nobody would normally even care about. But Stephanie shouted immediately, "Everybody gather here." Then she pointed dramatically at Amara and said, "This girl is dirty." And immediately, the hostel girl shouted, "Ha! That body school can humble somebody instantly." Stephanie pointed directly at the center of the hostel common room. "Stand on top of that locker and sing nursery rhymes until light out. If you stop, you will start again." Amara's voice started shaking that night. But the painful part wasn't even the punishment. It was the embarrassment, the laughter, the feeling of everybody watching you suffer. That's how trauma starts in boarding school. Not always one big event. Sometimes it starts with daily humiliation, small, small, until somebody begins to lose confidence completely. But Stephanie wasn't done. One Saturday afternoon, she accused Amara of greeting without respect. Till today, nobody even knows the offense. Stephanie punished her because of that. That evening, Amara couldn't even eat dinner because her hands were still shaking from the shock. Because in many boarding schools back then, reporting seniors could even make your life worse. Then came the night nobody knows will be forgot. Rain was falling heavily that Thursday night. Dinner that night was terrible beans, so everybody was already annoyed before lights out. Around 1 a.m., loud banging suddenly started on hostel doors. "Wake up! Wake up!" Everybody jumped in fear. It was Stephanie and her clique. They ordered all JSS1 students out into the corridor immediately. Girls were confused. Some people were still rubbing their eyes. Then Stephanie announced that somebody failed to greet her properly earlier that day. So according to her, every junior would suffer for it. That night, over 30 girls were punished under the rain. Some girls were even crying quietly. Everyone was trembling. But Stephanie and her friends were laughing like it was entertainment. That was the night many students realized some people actually enjoy seeing others suffer. Suddenly, Stephanie screamed from upstairs, "Who took my MTN recharge card?" Pause. I know you are probably wondering what MTN card is doing in a boarding school. Yes, you guessed right. Senior students snuck phone into the school. And Stephanie was selling recharge card low-key. Back then, recharge card were serious business. Nobody answered Stephanie. Stephanie became furious immediately. Nobody will sleep today. Chaos started instantly. Lockers were searched aggressively. Clothes were thrown around. Some students had already started crying. Then, they reached Amara's locker. Stephanie searched inside and suddenly brought out one MTN recharge card. The entire hostel was shocked. Amara froze immediately. That card was not hers. I swear I didn't take it. But nobody listened. Stephanie walked slowly towards her. "So you are a thief?" "No, senior, I didn't," she replied. Stephanie snatched Amara's favorite personal notebook from her bunk, the one where she kept letters from her mom, and ripped it into pieces right in front of her face, throwing the shreds on the floor. Everybody kept quiet because nobody wanted to become the next victim. Then Stephanie gave the final punishment, kneel outside under the rain. The rain was cold, very cold. Amara knelt there for almost 2 hours, with her uniform completely soaked, mosquitoes everywhere. Her body was shaking, her eyes were swollen with tears, and while kneeling there in the cold rain, something changed inside her. That was the night she promised herself one thing. One day, nobody would ever humiliate her again. After that time, Amara changed completely. Her grace dropped. She became quiet, always anxious, always afraid. Eventually, her parents transferred her to another school. But like many boarding school students, she never told anyone the full story. Years passed. Life moved on. University, NYC, Lagos hustle, job struggles, hardship, growth. While some people use the pain to destroy themselves, others use it as a fuel. Amara worked hard and slowly built a successful career for herself. By age 30, she had become operations director at a fast-growing company in Victoria Island. Good salary, beautiful office, respect, the kind of life nobody in Hostel B would have imagined back then. Then one morning, HR sent interview schedules to her office, 5 candidates. One name immediately caught her attention, Stephanie Adebayo. Her heartbeat paused instantly. No, it couldn't be the same Stephanie, but it was. Same name, same school, same graduation year. 15 years later, life had brought both of them back together again. Ironically, Stephanie's life after secondary school was nothing like people expected. Back in school, everybody thought she would become extremely successful. She was intelligent, very confident, and also connected. But life outside school humbled her slowly. After university, her father's business collapsed completely. Her friends disappeared, relationships failed, jobs became difficult to keep. And for the first time in her life, nobody fed her anymore. That was when reality started teaching her lessons power never could. By 11 a.m., the receptionist called. Ma, your next candidate is here. Amara adjusted herself calmly, sent her in. The door opened slowly, and there she was. Stephanie, older now. No sharp confidence, no commanding aura, no dangerous senior energy. Life had humbled her badly. The moment she saw Amara sitting behind the office desk, she froze completely. The silence inside her office became heavy immediately. The moment Stephanie entered, her eyes kept moving around the office nervously. The AC was cold, but sweat was still formed on her forehead. Meanwhile, Amara sat calmly behind the desk, expensive laptop, office nameplates Amara Adams, company documents neatly arranged. It was almost unbelievable. Years ago, one girl used to kneel before the other. Now, life had reversed the chess completely, and both of them knew it. For some seconds, nobody spoke. Then quietly, Amara, Stephanie asked. Have your seat. Amara nodded calmly. Good morning, have your seats. Stephanie's hands were shaking, actual shaking. As the interview continued, Amara noticed several gaps in her CV. Too many gaps. Finally, she asked carefully, why did you leave your last job? Stephanie forced a weak smile. My father lost everything after university. She paused briefly. I became responsible for my younger siblings. Then after a long silence, she laughed bitterly and said, I used to think fear meant power. The room went silent again. Then finally, she spoke the words nobody expected. I bullied many people in school, including you. The office suddenly felt smaller, almost like Hostel B had returned after 15 years. Two women sitting across each other, one carrying old pain, the other carrying regrets. Stephanie swallowed slowly before speaking again. I was wicked, Amara. I've wanted to apologize for years. After the interview ended, Stephanie stood up slowly. I know I probably won't get this job. Then softly she added, but I'm sorry for everything. After she left, Amara sat quietly for a long time because revenge always sounds sweet in imagination until the moment finally comes. One part of her wanted to embarrass Stephanie badly, to make her feel small too, to return the humiliation, but another part remembered something important. Pain that is not healed usually creates another wicked person. Later that evening, HR entered the office. Ma, should you proceed with the application? Amara looked quietly at Stephanie's CV again. Then she remembered one small girl kneeling under cold rain years ago. Finally, she said, yes. HR looked surprised. You are approving her? Yes, Amara replied. Not because she forgot the past. Not because bullying was okay. But because she refused to become the same kind of monster that once sought her. Stephanie resumed work 2 weeks later. She was quiet and very respectful, completely different from the senior girl everybody once feared. And one afternoon during lunch break, she said something Amara never forgot. The scary thing about bullying, the bully usually moves on with life, but the victim carries the memory for years. And honestly, that statement was true. Because many Nigerian adults today are still carrying scars from boarding school. Some hide it with laughter, some hide it with anger, some never talk about it at all. Life has a strange way of revisiting people. Today's bully can become tomorrow's beggar. Today's victim can become tomorrow's decision maker. But what Amara didn't know at that moment was that Stephanie just didn't come back to her life by coincidence. Stephanie wasn't there to work. She was there for something else entirely. Stay good for the next part.